Well, hello there, and welcome back to Mr. E's Mysteries and Magics, brought to you by RP Magic Shop, where illusion becomes reality. This video is the tutorial for Jim Steinmeyer's Cards by Touch, another classic magic effect. I promise you next time we will go back to some more original stuff that I've done, but this will finish up kind of this series of classic card tricks that I've done over the last several videos, and we will be doing some more classics later on and some more original stuff very, very soon. There are a number of ways, of course, of doing this particular effect, as there are usually for these classics. The biggest difference in variation is the number of cards that you throw out on the table. We're going to stick with 3 to make it quick, but there are a number of other ways you can do this, and again, you can adapt this any way that you want. The first thing you need to know about this, however, is that this is not an impromptu trick. It does require a setup, and part of the setup is you do need 2 identical decks of cards. So let's get started a little bit on the presentation. The first thing you may have noticed is that when I did the demonstration video, I took the deck of cards out of its tuck case. Normally I don't do that in a video just to save time, but in this particular case it is kind of required. It is part of the presentation, because what you're doing is you are persuading the audience that you are just taking out a common ordinary deck of cards, when in fact you are taking out a deck of cards that has been tampered with. So anyway, how has it been tampered with? Well, like I said, this trick requires 2 decks of identical cards. You take your first deck and you shuffle it until you're blue in the face and get it good and mixed up, and then you take 26 cards from that deck. Doesn't matter which ones. Top 26, bottom 26, 26 random cards. Doesn't really matter. And when you've done that, what you need to do is know what the order is. Put the order out in front of you. Do, one of these slide things like this, and know what the order is. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the bottom 26 from another deck of cards, and the bottom of this deck will be the exact same order. You're going to set up a single deck of 52 cards. 1 through 26 are whatever, and 27 through 52 are a perfect repeat of the 1 through 26. Okay, so that's the setup. One quick trick, or tip I should say, is when you do this trick, make double and triple sure that the cards are all in the matching order of the top and bottom all the way through, because if you have one card off, you may not mess up, but it does leave the possibility open that you will. So be very careful to have the cards identically matched in order. Again, doesn't matter which cards they are, just as long as the order from 1 to 26 and 27 to 52 is exactly the same. Now, let me give you another quick tip. This deck, these 2 decks, I should say, are comprised. They're both new decks, so this one deck together looks good. Don't do this, okay? Don't get an old deck and a new deck or something. I mean, obviously you need to have the backs identical, but you also need to have the edges identical, so that obviously you don't want to be doing a trick like this with, half the cards very obviously planted. Yeah, I know, that's stupid, but hey, dumber things have happened. No, I haven't done it, but I've seen stupider things happen. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. And again, the number to remember here while you're doing this is 26, because it's a repeat of 26 cards. So you have 3 spectators, and you're going to have them cut the cards, and they can cut the cards 0 times, 1 time, 1,000,000 times. Doesn't matter, as long as it's common ordinary cut, nothing fancy, no triple cuts. I'm not going to bother now because you know what a cut is. We'll save some time. And then once they have done their cuts and they're satisfied, you can have them just take their cards and look at them and whatnot. And we will flip the cards over, and then we have these same cards that we had in the demo, the 8 of hearts, the 8 of clubs, and the 6 of spades. Now, at this point, as you recall from the demo, I said you turn your back on the audience, and I simulated that by putting the cards under the table like this. I'm going to leave them out, but I am going to show you what you do when your back is turned. Now remember I said the key number is 26. What you're going to do is you're going to move cards from the top of the deck to the bottom. How many cards is going to be determined by the number of spectators you have. And that number will be 26 minus however many cards are out. So in this case, we'll be moving 23 cards to the bottom. If you have 5 cards out, you'll be moving 21 cards to the bottom. And that's pretty obvious. What you're doing is you're changing the order of 26 cards. The number that are out plus the remainder go to the bottom, and what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with these cards, the second stack of cards, the second repeat of the order on the top, okay? So 23 cards, and we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. I'm going to put these aside for now. You're going to put them here, okay? But I'm just going to put them aside for now. And you can see that the next 3 cards are, indeed, the 3 cards that were chosen. So, what are you going to do now? Well, what that means is they're going to take the cards and they're going to put them back somewhere in the deck. And again, I'm not going to do that completely here, but they're going to put them somewhere in the deck. And their cards will be on the top waiting to be lifted off. Another tip, don't let them put the cards in the order with the 3 or 5 if you have 5 spectators. They have to put the cards somewhere in the deck below where your cards are going to be taken off of in the reveal. Okay, so again, you've taken the deck, you've got your deck here, and you're gonna hide it. You don't need to keep a break. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes for later. I want to point something out later. But you're going to take the deck and you can just put it together just as per normal and hide it somewhere. Pocketbook, whatever. And they're going to say, you're going to turn to them and you say, okay. Now, don't forget, too, you're also going to, once you do that, you're going to give them that routine about, I'm going to memorize the cards, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And then you put the cards away and say, what was your card? And it was the 8 of hearts, and then my card was the 8 of clubs, and my card was the 6 of spades. And the minute they say it, you just whip that card off the top of the deck and throw it on the table. Now, a couple things about counting the cards, and this is why I wanted to keep this deck separate. We know that there's 23 cards here. You know you're going to need to deal 23 cards, and we know that that's the 23 cards here. How do you do that? Well, I do it this way. Now, it's important to be talking to your spectators while you're counting the cards for a couple of different reasons. Number one is they are not going to think that you're going to be able to manipulate the cards while you're talking. They're throwing that idea right out the window. So while you're talking, you're kind of creating this sort of verbal misdirection. The second thing is you're hiding this noise. Okay, that may or may not be an issue. You can do it very quietly, but you may once in a while just happen to do that, and that's okay if you're talking because they won't hear it. This is how I count while I'm talking. I do it in groups of 3 and kind of use my fingers to count how many groups I've done. So that's one group of 3, and then again, and now I have 2 groups of 3, and now again I've got 3 groups of 3, and I'm kind of, using my fingers, moving them toward the back of the cards. Here's my 4th group, and now I know I have a 5th group, and that's 15 cards, and I can start over again. And this is my 6th group, that's 18. Here's my 7th group, and I know I've got 21 cards now, and 23. And if I've done this right, we should have the Ace of Hearts, 8 of Hearts, 8 of Clubs, 6 of Spades on the top again. That's how I do it. Again, anything that works for you is certainly fine. Another thing that I should point out to you as well is when you're doing the count and you're moving the cards to the bottom, if you do the count this way, and just kind of whip them off the quick way, it's going to take you longer to reset the trick for the next time. And that's fine. That's fine if you have the time to do it. Don't worry about it. If you take the cards and you're able in some way to do it this way without giving up the count while you're talking to them, you can reset the cards almost instantly. It just takes just a matter of finding the number of cards that were chosen by the spectators and putting them back in the right order, because everything else will still be in the same order. Otherwise, if you're doing it, if you're doing it this way, the cards are going to be a little bit out of order, and it's going to take a little bit longer to do the reset, but it's not a major issue. Just something to point out, okay? So, always remember the number is 26. Always remember that the top 26 cards must match the bottom 26 cards in order, and that's it. That is the entire presentation of Cards by Touch. And if you have any questions about it, I know the explanation is a little complicated. If you want further clarification, please leave a note in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you. In the meantime, you will know that if you've done this trick completely correctly, you will leave them baffled.